Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Out of the Fast Lane podcast. I am your host, Brady Hauser. This podcast is, of course, brought to you by Swagger Factory Apparel and Parks Companies, LLC. Before we get to the Announcers Table podcast here, episode 2 of the Announcers podcast, just kind of a talk of the announcer trade and just whatever this podcast goes to. We got 2 guests here with us. I'll introduce them here in a second. Quick shout out to our buddy Kyle Lockrow. He sent in some mail to us. I know he's watching, so shout out to you for sending in the mail. Pretty cool stuff here. I'll be sure to share that later on. Well, I do want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the Helmar Friesen Racing team and their loss of their recent crew member, John Gurley. It's a sad deal there, and my thoughts are with them. But today's podcast, we'll get to our 2 guests here. I'll start here with Jay Severson. He is the voice of the Devil's Bowl Speedway. He's done work at Fonda Speedway, Glenridge. I can even credit him. He brought me into the announcing world. But Jay, Devil's Bowl's just getting started. Race season's just getting started. How's it been so far? And thank you.
I tell you what, that place is absolutely amazing, and I found a home up there, and I gotta owe everything to Justin St. Louis because him stepping back opened a door for me, and it's amazing there every week. And it's not just the racing. The racing is absolutely amazing. And it really is, Justin, you know that. But the people there, the fans and all the pit crews, drivers, it's absolutely amazing. And, I drive there every Saturday night with a smile on my face. And on my way home actually, it might be early Sunday morning, but with a smile on my face as well. So, yeah, things are going good.
Thanks for coming on the show. Our next guest here is the president of the Sprint Cars of New England. They just had their debut of the 2023 season last week. That race was won by Matt Tanner. I do know that because Matt Tanner's an Empire Super Sprint guy. He's the former voice of Devil's Bowl Speedway, and he's one of the members of the Uncommon Deeds podcast, who just dropped an episode 2 nights ago with Andy Santero. I'll make sure I get the name right. And Justin St. Louis, you're kind of a man of many trades. I thank you for coming on the show, and how's things been so far in 2023?
Hectic, but good. And thanks for having me, Brady. And Jay, you're very kind. But I agree with everything you said about the people at Devil's Bowl, man. And yes, the racing is good. It's very good. But there's something special about that place. Kind of everybody rows the boat in the same direction there, which is real cool.
Now, Sprint Cars of New England just got started last week. How did it go for the opener?
I thought it was way better than I would have expected for a first effort on our behalf. The drivers take care of themselves. The racing is fine. The racing is very good, but there was plenty for me to mess up. And it worked somehow. I don't know. I thought it went pretty well. Danny Duville, who is a 2-time Scone champion, Sprint Cars of New England. Also a very delicious pastry. Danny is my race director this year. Word. Yeah. And his dad, Dennis, but everybody knows him as Pep, worked on pit road for us and did a bunch of stuff and helped out. And I feel like I've been working with Danny for years. It's been 6 weeks as I look at the date on my computer right now. It's been 6 weeks, but I feel like we've been together as a team for years. It just, everything flows. We kind of know what each other's thinking and can anticipate the guy's next move before it happens. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Is it 305s, 360s?
360s. Yeah, same stuff as ESS or what the Patriot Tour was. It's real cool. It's a great little division, and we're sort of hidden away over here in New England. Vermont and New Hampshire don't get a lot of love, I guess, in the dirt track world, especially over in central Western New York, because nobody knows about us, which is fine. That's totally fine. But I'm going to try and change that a little bit. And I think there's a little section of the world that's carved out for Scone, and we fit in it very well. And I don't think we need to be too much bigger than we are, but we can be bigger than we are where we are.
Now, Jay, you got to announce them last week, I believe. Justin, were you in the booth with him?
No, actually, Justin jumped in the announcer's booth, and he's also announcing for him. I did it last year, and he did a fantastic job. And one of the things I even said to him on Saturday night, or maybe when we talked on Sunday, but I was like, man, he nailed the crowd with stats. He nailed them with history and also with great announcing. I mean, he's one of the legends out there, and he's done way more than most people know. And like you said, he's hidden in that little neck of the woods that most people don't know, and not just, because you're here, Justin, but, it's the truth. But even as the night started out, one of my favorite parts of the night and one of the coolest things I think I ever saw, everybody does a 4-wide salute. That's cool. Everybody loves that. But they did a reverse salute. The cars went around, turned around, went around backwards for a wave lap. And it was one of the coolest things I have seen in so many years. And I'm it's got a smile on my face right now just thinking about it. And one of the only cooler things I can think I've ever seen was the IMCA stock cars starting 3 wide. That's the only thing that could top that one.
See, I don't know how that would work.
Cool.
You ever seen a 3-wide start there, Justin?
I've actually been in a few. So in my racing days, when I was your age, Brady, I ran 4-cylinder street. They called them street stocks up at Thunder Road and Airborne and Riverside Speedway, White Mountain, Canaan. We ran all over the place. And they would start us. It was a 50 lapper, and they would start us 33 cars, 3 wide, and it was chaos.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We were all scared out of our minds.
I mean, I would be pretty scared myself.
I finished third in one of them. I did a good job in one of them. I hit the wall in all of the others. But
see, I'm trying to pull up the picture here. I remember seeing an iconic picture that you posted a couple months ago, I think it was. Jay, you had a short stint of a racing career. Did you ever take part in a?
Did you, Jay? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jay did.
I raced for about 4.5 years. Four quarters. Yeah, and the first 3/4 I raced a mini stock, and actually was at Glen Ridge, and I did a couple races. I think I ran Albany, Saratoga once, but a couple times at Fonda, but mainly Glen Ridge. And I actually broke my tailbone and one time, and
how?
Yeah. Best finish I ever had wasn't in a street stock. It was in the 4-cylinder. I actually finished third, and I think it was 2 races before the end of the year. And oh yeah, and that's like Justin, we always talk about. The mini stocks up there at the bowl are like some of the best you'll ever meet. And those guys, I tell you what, they put more.
There's the iconic picture by
cars than anybody else, and with front wheel, yeah, that's a great.
That was one of those 3 wide races too. Yeah. That was the B feature. I'm sorry to interrupt your story, Jay, but you'll appreciate this because you're telling an injury story with your mini stock. This is what I was doing. It was the last transfer spot on the last corner at Thunder Road, and you can see the crowd. You can see in the background how there were 6,000 people there on a Thursday night every week. It was wild, and I was second in points in the series. I wanted to win the championship. There were 2 races to go. And I had a terrible car from like mid-season on. We just didn't maintain it. And I blew a motor and I wrecked a bunch of times. And I just had junk for the rest of the season. And I was fighting for everything I had. A kid put us 3 wide. That's Jenny Bigelow. And then 33 upside down. And he put us 3 wide and nobody lifted. We went into the wall, all of us head first. And somehow her car tipped over and mine landed on top. Yeah, and it was Dave Moody. On asphalt. And, of course, I've mounted her in front of the grandstands, and Dave Moody is the announcer. And just, she punched me when we got out of the cars. It was great. It was a great time.
Yeah. Isn't that the best?
Yeah. So tell us how you injured yourself.
Well, actually, it was kind of crazy. It was one of those nights when, it wasn't like a series or whatever, but there was a ton of cars from a bunch of other tracks out there. And, Glen Ridge is a bull ring, and this is back in the day. We come out of turn 4 for the green flag. I was starting, I believe I was in 6, outside row 3. I go down the straightaway, full pedal, and the steering wheel's never straight at Glen Ridge. The only time the steering wheel hits straight is when you're at the flag stand and you're back into it. Well, I never made it to turn 1 on the opening lap, but come out of turn 4 for it, and the guy behind me decides to go out and try to go on the outside, hit my right rear, and Dale Earnhardted me, and right at the flag stand, full pedal, I turned, hit that concrete wall, and I tell you what, car hit, I went up, and then the next thing you know, the car hit me right in the rear and my butt. And that was it. I pushed the front end in 18 inches on the right front.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just tell people how fast those cars are going.
Yeah.
That tell you right there.
That's not good.
I tore the transmission out of a couple of them. The unibody, the way it is that pinch weld between the floor pan and the frame rail kind of thing on the outside, the rocker panel. I tore the floor out of 2 different cars. I know exactly the hit you're talking about because I took a few of them.
Todd Morey's watching, and he said, "Hey, it's my 3 favorite announcers in the whole world." So Morey came on he was on the first podcast with Mike Warren, and Morey made the statement: as a racing announcer, it's good to drive a race car at one time. Is that, you think that could be? Is that something? Because Mike Warren was on the show with us. And Mike Warren mentioned that he never had been in a race car. And Todd was like, well, shoot, I got 2 of them. I think we're going to get you in a 4-cylinder. Do you think, as announcers, do you think it's a good thing to have some racing experience behind your belt?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, just to know how, when you go into the turn and how the track conditions are, whether you're on the high side, low side, what to do. And just how, like, when you're in the stands and you're watching these guys go into the turn, it's like, oh, he was right underneath you. He was right underneath you. You have no idea. You have no clue. You got a helmet on. You might as well put your hands on the side of your eyes. You're strapped in so tight. You don't know who's next to you. And then you might have a window net. That might as well be a wall. You have no clue. So it's definitely cool.
So do you agree on that, Justin? Should announcers race?
Yeah, I think just about the only type of race car that I haven't driven is a winged sprint car, which is what I'm announcing now. But I took every possible opportunity that I ever got because I know everybody somehow. I drove dirt modifieds. I drove asphalt modifieds. I drove a dirt midget. I drove 4-cylinders. I drove, street stocks. I drove a late model one time, just a Busch North car. Like, if you get the chance, absolutely step into something, even if it's 2 laps and you're going to suck. It gives you that perspective, and you can rely on that forever.
Yeah,
I do.
You got to do it.
I've done iRacing. I'll stick to iRacing, and I've done a ride along with Stuart Friesen at Daytona. That's about all I've done.
Oh, hey, nice.
That's got to be pretty crazy. I tell you that.
But that will give you perspective too.
You see how hard they go into the turns. And a lot of people don't realize, when you're racing, I don't care if it's a 4-cylinder or a late model, big block modified, or a crate car. When you go into those turns, and it's every turn, every lap, every race, you're going in there on the edge of out of control. Like just a 1/4 inch more on the gas pedal, you're spinning out. And that's how they're going into the turns every time. And you got cars above you, below you. It's insane. It's a lot harder than a lot of people think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the Daytona ride along experience, it was a Richard Petty experience. It was the Richard Petty experience, and those cars were they were a little. I was just saying they weren't up to par for the more recent safety features.
Well, they keep it down.
And Todd Gilliland was out there testing and doing ride-alongs as well, and I remember him blowing the tire off of turn 2 and smoking the wall. Now I'm thinking to myself, because when you're doing the ride, I wouldn't want to be that
you
person.
Pay extra for that.
You're doing the ride along experience. All you have is the head restrict, the Hans device, and the helmet. You're not wearing a fire suit or anything. You're just buckled in. And I could only imagine being that civilian that was in there with him when he slammed the wall because the tire.
Yeah, and that does something too. You got the Hans device, but no fire suit. So right on.
Wow.
At Daytona.
Wow.
Which is
that's good stuff.
Insane in itself.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So announcers should races are overall.
I'm not saying
if you got a chance, or even if you go up for a hot lap or get to go cruise around at the end of the night, whatever. I mean, it definitely gives you a whole new perspective just in how the car is run. Like, especially with with all of us, you're in with a modified. It's like just getting started with the the clutches up on the right side of the car, and the transmissions between your legs, and it's so different for a lot of our style cars, and
I couldn't stop a modified because I didn't know how to work the hand clutch. And I the first time that I ever got in one of those type of car, it was a coupe, but it was a Bicknell chassis with the Burt transmission and all that stuff. It's set up the same. And I won. It was a 3-car meteor race. I won the thing. And I took 2 extra laps after it was over because I couldn't figure out how to stop the damn thing. And I finally had to choke it out and stall it.
Yeah.
But that gives you such, like, that's the thing I remember the most about it is how difficult it is to drive one of those things.
They're tricky. Yeah. They're a little different than what you're used to.
Yeah. I think we should talk to Mike Bruno and let's get a announcers only enduro up there sometime at Devil's Bowl.
Oh man!
Imagine
if I get
Crown Vics.
If I get the there we go. Crown Vics
going. There we go.
If I get the right car, I'll do it.
Full fenders.
Yeah, love it.
But it wouldn't be fair because you guys would have experience on all of us rookies. How would that be fair?
Oh, dude, it's been so many years since I did it. And I tried to, then when I went, like I did the 3/4 of a year with a 4-cylinder, I jumped into a street stock or, super stock, like a Devil's Bowl. But, yeah, that was a big difference. Going to the rear wheels and a whole different style of racing. And the guys are tough. And I was a field filler. We used to celebrate if we finished the race.
Yeah.
We would party if we finished the race. And then if you got, wrecked, well, we partied anyways, but
that's it.
I was the guy that, I would show up and give them a consi, and they were all like hated me.
Somebody had to do it.
But, yeah, that's it. But we had a blast,
So I just mentioned the name Mike Bruno. Now you guys both have worked with him. I've done a little bit of work with him. Justin, you've known him for a long, long time. How's it been getting to work with him? How did you meet Mike, and how is it with working with him?
So I watched Mike race when I was a kid, in the mid 90s. I was probably in my teen years, 12, 13, 15, 18, around that time of my life. He was racing the American Canadian Tour on asphalt. He had just gotten the Kenny Drugs sponsorship in 1995, I think. And he moved up to Thunder Road and Airborne Raceway up in Plattsburgh. Those were my 2 tracks that we went to. And so I started to watch him as a kid then. And then he went off to the Busch North Series. And I did my racing thing. And then I started working at Thunder Road because I couldn't afford to race. And I worked at Airborne. And I got done doing that after 5 or so years and launched my own racing news website, Vermont Motorsports Magazine. And so my plan was to cover the 3 tracks in Vermont weekly because we've only got 3. And Mike took over Devil's Bowl. But so I don't know. It's a strange
old school NASCAR.
How it all worked. It was very strange, but I was covering races at Devil's Bowl, and I was the only one doing media coverage at Devil's Bowl, and CJ Richards on the track at the time. And he called me up on a Tuesday. Devil's Bowl was struggling terrible. It was the asphalt in 2011. They had 35 cars total in the pit area in 4 divisions. And he called me up on a Tuesday and he's like, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Nothing." And he said, "Drive on down to Devil's Bowl." I was living up in Burlington. So I got in my car and drove the hour and a half down, and we sat in rocking chairs in his garage, which is now the office at Devil's Bowl. And we were kind of just shooting the breeze. And he said, "What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with racing?" And I said, "I don't know. I like what I'm doing right now, but I'd like to get into promotion at some point in my life." And he said, "You ever met Michael?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Mike." He goes, "You ever been to his shop?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Get in your car. Follow me over to Rutland." So we drove over about 25 minutes to Rutland, and CJ and I walked into Mike's towing shop, and he said, "Michael." "Yep." He goes, "Sit down in your office with me." And so we did. And he goes, "Here's the plan." He goes, "You're going to buy Devil's Bowl and he's going to run it." And Mike and I both kind of looked at each other like, "What are you talking about, old man?" But I swear to God, that's what happened. And CJ left after, I don't know, we were there for probably an hour. CJ left and I stuck around and talked with Mike, and I was like, what is he talking about? Mike's like, "This is the first I've heard of it." He goes, "Don't say anything." But and then October 12th, 2011, I started working for Mike, and he bought the racetrack officially 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jay, you recently got to work with. You recently just started working with the Brunos.
Yep.
How has it been working with Mike?
Oh, it's absolutely awesome. And the good thing is, I can say, some people say Mike is tough. He wants everything to be perfect, and everybody's treated the same, or, if he says something that somebody doesn't like, he's saying it for a reason, like say, well, we got here early. Why didn't you let us in the pits? Well, if I let you in the pits, then I got to let everybody else in the pits, type of thing, and then, he's a stickler on time. And he just wants everything to be perfect. And, we all do. And, yeah, it's a good time. His wife and family, Austin, Johnny, everybody is absolutely amazing over there. So,
yeah. I mean, if I can add on that, I worked for them for Mike and Elaine. It's important that I say and Elaine, because I was with her in the office every day for 10 years. And I went on vacations and stuff in Florida with them. They got a house down at Daytona Beach, and I've been to every graduation that their son Johnny's had from elementary school to middle school to high school, and I plan to go to his college graduation whenever that is. So, you are 100% right, Jay, that Mike could be tough. Mike could be tough. We have had our blow-ups, trust me. And we've left the day pissed off at each other and not talking the next day. And everybody's been through that with Mike. But I think everybody has also seen the other side of him, the racers, the officials, all that, where he's doing it for a reason. He is fair. Everybody is the same. Yeah. Everybody pays the same amount. It doesn't matter. And he will tell you that you're an idiot, whether you're his best friend or it's your first time there. He will also praise you if you're his best friend or if your first time there. Mike is very black and white. I really actually have enjoyed my relationship with him even more now that we're not working together. I talk to him every day. It's been a good friendship. But yes, he can be tough to work for, but that's because he grew up in a very structured, you get up at this time, you go to work this time, you go to bed this time, and you get up and do it the next day. And it's, if you're awake, you better be doing something.
Yep. And that's why he's successful at doing it.
Yep.
Oh, very.
Yeah, I think I said to him too, I said, yeah, if I ever get you pissed off, if you're ever mad at me, I said, all right, I can take it. I can take it. But before I leave at the end of the night, let's talk and we'll figure it out. I said, that's what you got to do. And so far we haven't had to do that yet.
It took me a few years to figure that out with him. It took me a couple years, probably 2-3 years to figure out what makes him tick and how to deal with that on a daily basis. Because I did not deal with it very well internally for the first couple of years. And I really didn't let it out very much, but I was, if there's a problem, he's done with it in 10 minutes. He will fix it and move on, and we're all good as far as he's concerned. Where many other people will be like, F that guy, like, what's your problem? But like, he doesn't hold a grudge. He doesn't think about anything
he just wants everything to be perfect.
That's right.
What I respect about him. I mean, he wants everything to go perfect. And I mean, that's why we got, every week so far, over 140 cars in the pits,
Right. That's it. I bought into his philosophy. I had it with Tom Curley. He was very much the same way. And that's why I stuck with Mike for so long, because I operate the same way, very much so at this point in my life.
Yep. And that's good structure. And that's how you're successful, is the way I think. I mean, he's a successful business owner and now a successful promoter,
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. And running Devil's Bowl, getting to work at Devil's Bowl. Got a lot of history back there in that place. It's up in the middle. It's just really out in the middle of nowhere, if you ask me. I've been there. I've been there. You've been there, obviously.
There's a farm field, a racetrack, and a farm field. So
back in the 90s, I had I went from a JARF, Joe Average Race Fan, to being able to work on race cars.
First race car. JARF?
A JARF.
I think he said JARF.
Joe Average Race Fan.
Okay. That's the first. A JARF.
Yeah. So anyways, getting to work on Kenny Tremont's car. And that was huge, for me. I mean, that's where I learned what a Zeus button was. And I mean, I'd go to the races, I'd be cleaning out the pan after they changed the gear. And then I went up to changing shocks and changing tire. You know what I mean? You learn. That's how you learn stuff. But, it was Friday nights for a while, it was Weedsport on Fridays. And then it was Albany Saratoga on Fridays, Lebanon Valley, obviously, on Saturdays, and Sundays at at Devil's Bowl. And, Justin, I remember the farmers on the back end, that would be the time they'd be spreading the manure out there every race day. And, it was just comical, but, it was great racing back in the day. And it was home, that's what we did on Sundays.
Now I gotta ask, where's the wildest track you've been to, Justin? You've done a lot of announcing in your career. We're like, because we're talking about Devil's Bowl being here in the field. I think of like Bear Ridge, which is like up in the middle of the mountains in the woods. Yeah, like that's way out there. Glen Ridge is out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, Glen Ridge.
Like, another great race.
You ever been to like a track that's like really like out there besides those three?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of tracks like that. Newport, Tennessee was kind of like that. Maybe not so much up in the mountains, but it's in the middle of a literal junkyard. And the people that are there are from a literal junkyard. I mean, it's the Wild West out there, man. Yeah.
I'm sure the racing's awesome.
Actually, it really was. It's a high banked. I think it's concrete, to be honest with you. I don't think it's asphalt, but it's like 20-degree banks. It's wicked cool, and it's closed now. The track's still there, but they're not racing anymore. But in terms of like lawlessness, the wildest place I ever went to was Adirondack Speedway up near Watertown, which this was 2002 maybe. We brought a car. We brought a street stock, a V8 street stock. They call them Flying Tigers out here. We brought one of those cars and a late model and ran them both against each other in practice. Then ran the Tiger car in the street stock division in the heat race and put it in the late model feature later in the day. And they never asked a question. They never looked at the car. They never asked who was driving it.
There wasn't even tech.
We had 4 different drivers in that car that during the day. I almost won the heat race in the street stocks. I hit every car on the way by. There was no schedule. There was no, I don't know if there was an announcer in the grandstands, but there certainly wasn't one in the pits, which was in the infield. And there wasn't a schedule. So I walked out onto the racetrack under yellow and asked an official if he could tell us when we're racing. And normally you don't do that. I mean, that's stupid, right? Like, it's stupid. Yeah. Well, but there were no officials anywhere to be found. So I walked out there and was like, hey, man, when do we need to get ready? And he's like, oh, hold on. I don't know. And we stood there at the apron of the racetrack while he's on his radio, and they held up the race for a lap under yellow as he talked to the official. And they didn't have a problem with it. They didn't tell me that I was doing anything wrong. I knew I was doing something wrong, but they didn't say anything about it. It was just absolute chaos, and it was super fun.
I think putting a car in 4 different features is impressive. In one
day. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And keeping it in one
drivers
piece.
Switch, but not the same car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I guess we'll talk about one announcing topic. Broadcasting. Is it good or is it bad for the racetrack? And as an announcer, how do you balance it?
You want that one first?
I have not worked a live stream other than Facebook on my phone, Facebook Live, which I think we're on Facebook Live right now. I just shared the post. Yeah. I don't have great experience to draw from to answer this question as an announcer. I can give you opinions as from the promotional side, how I feel about it. I think there are positives to drawing attention to your racetrack. But that's about where it ends as far as I'm concerned, because you're not racing live stream doesn't get to anybody except racing fans, right? Yep. You're not on the local news. You're not on a cable channel that can be accessed by anybody with cable. You're not on a rabbit ears, you have to know that it's there and you have to want to buy it to see it. So it's a very small audience within a small audience that's watching your live stream, and they're staying home. They're not buying the ticket. They're paying for their live stream, but you're splitting that cost or that revenue with whoever's producing it. They're not buying a t-shirt. They're not buying a cheeseburger. They're not buying a Matchbox car.
It's $150 a year out of 20 some races.
Sure. At flow racing. Yeah, absolutely. And if you if you kind of divide that out by the number of races that everybody watches, you're paying pennies for a race, which is, if you're a race fan, it's freaking awesome.
Right.
Mhm.
But
I watch it every night.
From
Right.
the promotional side, I at a track. Okay, listen, none of the racetracks in Vermont sell their grandstands out. None of the racetracks in New York sell their grandstands out. None of the racetracks in New Hampshire, including the Cup track, sell out their grandstands. So if that's the case, why are we basically giving it away on streaming? I understand trying to reach the masses, but you are reaching a small fraction of an audience that is already a small audience. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay, so that's my question. Now, for a track like Devil's Bowl, per se, putting it on like a local news station, do you think that would be helpful? Being it would be like free? What's your...
Well, as long as it was covered, I think it would be good. But the racing, maybe highlights. That's it.
Correct.
I remember the old Fox Fast
show.
That was great.
I played
that show. I remember watching that when I was growing up. That was the show I grew up with.
Yep, I would watch it too.
And I think it was that was honestly that'd be cool. Like for local news stations, I think. Oh,
and that's a great thing. It does promote all the local tracks, and you're not seeing all the races. You're seeing highlights, and it's funny. Like my business in the flooring and stuff. I'm in Clifton Park in Saratoga. I mean, 70% of my time. And you talk about like racing or something like that with a homeowner. They don't even know there's a track in Malta.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's one of the biggest tracks around.
One of the best tracks in the country.
Lebanon Valley, just because Lebanon's been there forever. But without a doubt, some of them don't even know it's there. They drive past it daily and don't even know it's there, which is sad. But I love the streaming because I can watch it watch Fonda on Saturday, I'll watch it Sunday or whatever, just because, I spent so many years there and, love the people and blah, blah, blah. But like Devil's Bowl, Justin, as well as me, the grandstands so far this year have been pretty full. They could always be better, of course, right?
Opening night had a huge crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, I get the thing like, all right, you go on vacation as a race fan. You go on vacation and you can watch the track. Like if there was a way you could watch it, like if you went away, that would be cool. But nothing's ever perfect. I mean, and then the other thing, going from an announcer, what do you watch? The TV screen? Do you cater to the people watching at home, or do you cater to the people in the stands? Do you announce the race that's going on? There's like 4 different scenarios.
It's hard to balance. Yeah. Mackenzie Dyer commented on this. The amount of stuff I am learning about my uncle is amazing, she said. And then Charlotte McGinn said This Week on Dirt. I don't know if that was a show. Was that
yes.
Dirt. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And it was amazing. You had This Week on Dirt, then you had Fox Fast Tracks, which was a few years later. But This Week on Dirt was awesome. It was kind of the same thing, but it was
and Mackenzie, to add on to stuff, the things I'm learning about Justin St. Louis right now is amazing to me as well. So I can attest to that too.
He's an icon.
Yeah, absolutely.
The man of many trades.
Yeah. Channel 3 up here used to have Motor Monday, which did all the tracks on the news, and it was like a 10-minute segment. It was amazing. And Nesson, which is out of Boston, which is a cable channel out of Boston. They cover the Red Sox and the Bruins and all that stuff. They had a couple of different shows that covered like Stafford Speedway, the Connecticut tracks, the Massachusetts tracks, Riverside Park. And they would occasionally talk about This Far North. Those days are gone. Long Island Jam was a show. Was it Long Island Jam? Something like that covered Riverhead and Islip and all those tracks modified and stuff. And those days are gone on regular old TV. Unfortunately,
they'll cover Little League, they'll cover soccer, they'll cover everything, but you got guys pulling in toter homes and all that, and the news never covers it, which is sad. But I don't know. I think they should still get a blurb.
Yeah, I agree.
The newspapers don't do anything anyway. I mean, nothing. Right. Nothing.
I mean, in TV nowadays, if you hear about racing, it's usually on the news. It's something bad. It's like, Alex Bowman a couple weeks ago with the High Limit Sprint Car Series. Nobody, if I was an average just person, all I could know about was that he crashed. Like I wouldn't know anything about that race because all they showed was him crashing, and that's all they posted was him
Well,
crashing,
put it
breaking
this
his
way: the
back.
news doesn't even cover the late models. Lucas Oil or the World Outlaw. And you got guys that are racing.
But racing
They
since
take 4 weeks off, but they're
Yeah.
racing all year round. And it's great all across the country, and it is sad for our sport, but
it is what it is, I guess.
I think I want to add one last thing on that. I think that what you're doing with your show, Brady, and there's a million others like it. I've got a podcast. Who doesn't have a podcast these days?
Me,
Jay. You'll have one within a year. But we are all, I guess, trying to spread the word the best way that we can.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have that massive platform of TV. But
TV.
There's so many sports that aren't getting the coverage now. I mean, that used to. And it's just the way that the world is right now. And I sound old saying that, but back in my day, people gave a damn. And it really is true. And now you have to know that it's there and seek it out to find information about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, my final
and
topic
people do too. If you're interested, you go after it.
They do, but you have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody on Facebook to find it now.
Right? Yeah.
Now, my final topic here, Justin, you kind of helped out with this idea I made with us announcers and all the announcers is from the racing announcers group. You kind of were the head mastermind of that. The cool thing about that, it just hit over 100 announcers in that chat.
Yeah.
What was your vision with that? Like, what made you think hey, let's just make a group chat, and get all these guys in your chat?
Because I want to get better. I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to steal ideas from people, and I know that sounds like a joke, but I'm serious.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, there really are no new ideas anymore. But some of them, there are some, But Jay, you mentioned the reverse wave off lap that we did.
Yeah,
that was not a new idea. Scone did that 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody will see that and be like, "Oh my God, look at that! That's cool. Yeah. That's different." And there are things that I can learn in that racing announcer group that I have learned that I will implement into my show. I'm not a full night announcer like Jay's got that job now, and that's awesome. And I think you do a great job. You do things that I never thought of doing. But I'm sure that I do things that you never thought of doing. And that's
every time. That's why it was a blast Saturday.
So that's
if you don't learn every time.
That's right. That's why I started the group.
And I think it's cool that we're all in there interacting, getting to know each other through it. I mean, you got national TV announcers like Dave Moody, and then you got Joe Schmoes who are just getting started like myself in there, and we're all just interacting like a bunch of friends chatting about the trade. And I think that's awesome.
And here we are talking about it. This is your second show with announcers, and we all did that big show
with Adam Ross. Yep.
With Adam Ross up in Canada, and that was amazing. And then Dave had his seminar that I don't know, I don't remember if you guys took part in it. I did.
I was,
and we paid the $1 to get in there. And I've known Dave.
Oh, I got
30 years. I have listened to Dave Moody more than probably 98% of race fans.
Well, you worked with him.
I grew up listening to him from the time I was 4 years old. I worked with him for a little while. I've learned under him, there it is. And he went over stuff in that thing that I wrote down in a notebook. Like, how come I never thought of that? And then I went back and I was like, I'm freaking almost 40 years old, and I've known this guy for 35 of those years and listened to him, and I still didn't pick up on this thing. So that's why this group started, is so that we can all get better.
Yeah, and I think it's great.
Cool. And anybody out there that thinks that they're the best or whatever, you're totally wrong. It's a business that you will never master, and you always will keep learning. And that's it. You'll always keep learning, and you have to keep learning, and you will never master it. Just like a race car driver, you might be good this week, good that week. You're never going to be the best of the best forever. You just got to keep going, keep learning, keep going.
You know what I screwed up, and this is something that I could even pass on into the group. That reverse wave off lap, Jay, with the sprint cars last week. I thought about it ahead of time, and I made sure to not tell the fans what was coming because I wanted it to be a surprise. Yeah. But I also thought ahead of time before that happens, I should tell them a lap ahead of time, get your phone out and turn your camera on because something's about to happen. And I was so wrapped up in the moment that I didn't do that.
Yeah, and I think it still worked because you did say that though, as they did.
No, but I didn't say get your phones out. I should have, and I thought about it after. I was like, damn it, I missed that opportunity. No. But that's something that I can say, hey guys, if you're going to do something special like that, I screwed this up. Don't do it. Don't screw it up like I did. And that's what the thing is there for.
Absolutely,
time to shine for the main event and all that, and that was cool, and it was a good night. And yeah, that was a lot of fun though on Saturday. Yeah. I tell you, it was cool. It was fun working with you that night.
Yeah, everybody tuning in on the Facebook Live. You got any questions for any of us, or just something that you want us to talk about? Here's your final chance to do it. We got some people watching, so if you are curious about anything, it could be anything.
I got a question. Okay. What's that little? What's the car? What's the Racing Champions car on your shelf back there? That's an old school one. That's like 1994, 95.
This one?
Yeah.
That one. Okay. So this one's actually pretty cool. Kenny Wallace raced Super Dirt Week last year with the Pros. And Michael John Pierce. I still haven't gotten that photo, which I know he's watching. He's got to send me that.
Oh, he's gonna get it.
Me and Kenny Wallace had a moment.
MJP.
I had him
nice
sign this Kenny Wallace car with him back in
love it
way before me. So it's cool to have that there.
Yep. I recognize the package because I used to buy those.
They're and I got a whole bunch right there too.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, like I'm a diecast guy. It was funny because I remember cracking a joke to Kenny Wallace, and he got like, as Kenny Wallace would, he's a character. He puts on the show for anybody. He gets all like all tough guy, like ready to fight. Because I said the joke, and I don't know, it wasn't offensive, but then he comes over, he hugs me. He starts laughing. I'm like, what? I thought you were mad at me. He goes, dude, I would never be mad at you. I was like, oh God. So somewhere MJP has it. There's a photo of Kenny Wallace hugging me after I got this side.
Oh, MJP's digging deep right now. I guarantee you. He's watching.
I hope deep. So.
Yeah.
But that's
So on my podcast, Uncommon Deeds, that's a shameless plug. One of the questions that I always ask everybody is, what's the dumbest thing you ever did in a race car? So I want to ask you guys, what's the dumbest thing you ever did announcing?
Oh,
I said holy shit.
Actually, I can tell you, Justin, you know what I did on Saturday? You know what I did on Saturday?
What?
You remember opening night, we had the Algers and the mini stocks.
Yep.
And I still feel about this big. So Ronnie Alger, the father, going into turn one after taking the green flag, 4 wide, and he flips it, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, that was a good
Destroys the car. So Saturday night, Jacoby's old car is out there cruising around. Now they got the pink car out there. And I think the transponders were correct. But I assumed, and you know what happens when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Oh, yeah.
I assumed that Ronnie was driving the pink 54 and Jacoby was in the white 54. So going all the way around, going towards the end of the race, now he's in the lead. And I'm like, what a beautiful moment. He flips a car a week ago, and now he's going to get the win.
No.
All the way until he gets the win. I'm calling Ronnie out there. And then somebody says, that's Jacoby. I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, I said all this in victory lane too, but talk about feeling like a goofball.
God.
There you go. And I just assumed because he destroyed the car, has the new car, and anyways, he was driving the son's car. You know what I mean? It was a total swap both ways. And then even last year they did a little driver swap, but so I can't wait to see them again. Saturday.
I guess I said holy shit on a microphone before.
Nice.
Excuse my French. Last year it was a race. It was a CRSA race, and Jeff Trombley and Jordan Hunt were side by side having a hell of a race. And I said, holy shit, these guys are flying around the corner as they go side by side to turn 4. And I forgot the one official, Tara, looks at me. She goes, you do realize you just said that in the microphone? I was like, yeah, okay.
Take it back.
I can tell you, was that at Fonda, Brady?
I don't think it was Fonda. What was it? Oh, shoot.
Well,
it wasn't Skyline. It wasn't Skyline. It was one of the races. And I remember it because it was Trombley and Hutton. It was probably Fonda. I also remember the night, and I just remember saying that because they were having a barn.
At Fonda, one time we had Ray Zemkin was running a sportsman car. Can't remember the other driver. Well,
was it when he jumped in the car?
Well, he wrecked like 3 or 4 times, and then they used a ratchet strap to hold the rear end towards his name, and he wrecked again on the front stretch. Rear end came out. The other car, they got hooked together. Now it's like 6 or 7 minutes. And I mean, when it's racing, that's a long time. They're down there trying to pull the cars apart and this and that. And I made a comment, like kind of joking around. We were talking about a few things. I said, well, just grab the hose like we do with the dogs over at the farm, kind of there was more to it than that. And on Sunday at the Ridge, I got yelled at by the entire safety crew for saying that, and I was like, "Oh man, the little things."
Wait, why is it bad?
Well, because the dogs are getting together, you got to use a hose to spread them apart.
You got to spray them. Yeah.
It wasn't right the more I think about it, but it was funny at the moment, and it was the night that I was announcing with Brett Dale.
I think that's a great line. I like that line. I don't see a problem with that. I would have said that.
All right, Justin.
They're talking get apart. I said, well, why don't you just grab the hose like we do at the old farm, at the
that's
barn
right.
or something, and I don't know.
Put the hose on them.
Well, you've heard mine and Jay's crazy moment. Justin, what's the craziest thing?
So I've got 2 of them. One was Brady. You're not even going to understand this, but because you're so young. But Jay, we had a spectator race at Devil's Bowl 5, 6, 8 years ago. It was on the pavement. Somebody shows up with a '63. I think it was a Lincoln Continental convertible. But think about what a '63 Lincoln Continental convertible looks like, Jay. And what's the first thing that comes to your head? And they're on the starting line, and I said, I'm pretty sure that's the car that JFK got shot. I heard about that.
Yikes.
To me,
see, I'm not a car guy, so I'm pulling this up right now.
Yeah. Some other time, Google the Zapruder film, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the one.
There you go.
There it is. I put my foot in my mouth after that one.
Here's my question: why would you want to race something like that? It's too nice looking.
Yeah, I mean, he just went out there for show. He didn't even step on the gas, but
yeah. That's the thing. Just to go around back,
Yeah. So, and then my other one, there was a rain delay at Bear Ridge when I was announcing up there, and oh my God, this was 15 years ago probably. And I wanted to fill the dead time. So I decided we would do a slide for life in the mud pit down on the front stretch.
Awesome.
Because I kind of thought there was no way we were going to race again that night. And I mean, it was really, really
those
raining.
nights.
Yeah, it was really raining, but we were trying to hold on and wait it out. I said, all right, anybody wants to do the slide for life, come on down, watch your step. Come on down on the front stretch and we'll do the slide for life. And so I did it.
The ugly umbrella is so much better.
The ugly so much safer. And so I did it first, and I got the slide. I did it right. Like when you're sliding on ice in the wintertime and you get that perfect slide and you go forever. And it's like, you nailed it. Yeah. I started off like that. And then I caught a bump or something, and I went ass over tea kettle, and I come up. Not only am I covered in mud head to toe, but I am bleeding from both of my hands, both of my knees. Like, just
is there a video of this somewhere?
Ate total shit on that one. No, I don't think there is, but so the rest of the night because we didn't rain out. It cleared up.
Yeah, the night went on.
So I am, trying to hold the microphone like this to not get my bloody friggin' hands all over it. And
that's awesome.
What a shit show. Yeah. It was
awesome.
Yeah. I can agree. The ugly umbrella is definitely a lot safer.
That's class, and it works every time. I mean, absolutely. I tell you, that's one of the greatest things. But
that's a movie.
So Justin, as we're getting closer, so who are your mentors in racing as far as announcing goes?
Well, I mean, Dave for sure. Dave Moody, but and
you had that opportunity to work,
and I had Ken Squire too. How great is that? He owns Thunder or owned Thunder.
I'll say it. He's the GOAT.
Of course. And So I got a story about that too. I worked for him for a long time. I listened to him growing up because he was there every Thursday night, even when he was doing at the height of his NASCAR stuff. He was there every Thursday night doing Victory Lane.
Still at Thunder Road. Yeah.
Yep. And so I started working there after I was done racing, and I was in the office every day, and he would come up and teach me how to write a press release, and he would let me write it out, print it out, and then he would freaking tear it apart line by line and say, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. You wouldn't say sucks, but you tell me exactly what I did wrong and then how to change it.
Yeah,
and he did that with all of my announcing stuff, and he would just browbeat me every Monday morning. These are the 19 things you did wrong, and the thing that you started to do right, but then you screwed it up. And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, it was
that's tough.
I use as much of Ken's advice as anybody's.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's good stuff. Like I tell you, where I started out was with BMX, and Brady, you understand with Royal Mountain.
Oh yeah,
BMX, motocross, it's all high. It's
the
crazy.
energy is very
everything, and it's it's like calling the lap of a modified feature the entire night,
the entire day.
And I got it back into stock cars where I wanted to be. I was way too heavy into it, and I got in my garage at home right next to the TV and stuff. I got like 19, 20 videos of Albany, Saratoga when I was there with Dan Martin, and I honestly I can't even put them in to listen to them because I'm like I know how I was before, and then you learn how to calm down and adjust to different things, and and like you're saying with him, it was like, oh, really? I thought I did good or whatever. And then like you list back, it's like, yeah, you poured a hype on here, you poured a hype on there, and here you're telling a story, or here, you know what I mean? And you could be too much at times, and I did that a lot in my early goings, and it's a big difference now. You learn a lot.
Dan is so freaking good, and
oh my god,
Dan Martin and John Spence, who's an asphalt guy. I think those might be the two most composed announcers I've ever worked with, and because I've had the fortune of working with both of them, but sit back and listen to, which is even more enjoyable. God, everything.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're having some technical difficulties here. Hold on, Justin. We're having technical difficulties here. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you're alive.
Brady, where'd you go, man?
Well,
so where'd you leave off?
I hope that it caught some of that.
It said we were live. It said we were live the whole time.
Well, yeah, it did too. Look at that. Hopefully the recording kept going.
There you go.
So there you go. So
my internet decided just to crap the bed there for a minute.
Yeah, you're out in the sticks.
I am not. I'm in the city.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not like you Vermont boys. I'm not out in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the city.
Hey, I'm in Albany.
I'm in the country, man. I am in the country.
Well, that was interesting. We're going to be winding this podcast down anyway. You were talking about the BMX. I think
yes.
I don't know. Justin,
you really lost it then.
Yeah. So like pouring the hype on back, like with you at Royal Mountain, you're pouring the hype on. Motocross, BMX, it's all about the hype. And then when you get into like the stock cars, there's a time and a place to pour the hype on. And what I was getting at it, when I was at Albany, Saratoga, working with Dan, and I say like in my garage, I got 1920 videos, DVDs. I can't even watch now because like I just like want to shoot myself every time I hear them because I just like did it too much, and you learn that stuff. And I tell you, listening to yourself and even throwing it on in the background as you're working or doing something, it helps you because you know where you screw up, you know where you did this, you know where you do that, and
NJP sent the Kenny Wallace photo.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
See? There you go.
You dug it out.
So.
See, it's all good.
Oh yeah. I think Justin, have you ever announced Supercross?
No, I don't think I'm good enough for it. Honestly,
It's really it's awesome. I mean, like you got
tough with
40
so many
bikes.
divisions and classes.
Oh yeah,
It's tough.
I'm thinking about Royal here because Royal has their opener next weekend. Just a shameless plug there, Memorial Day weekend. They have a division, the novice division. Like it's like the limited sportsman and the racetrack novice. It's the newer guys and the bikes, like the bigger bikes. And we fill that gate. That gate's got 38 slots. So you got 38 bikes going up one little hill, all expecting to make one corner to get into to make the next jump.
Getting the whole shot.
And get the whole shot. Insane.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple. It never goes well.
All about the hype in that. It's just a different kind of racing, a different type of thing, And
I've been to a couple snowcross races, local stuff, and
that's kind of the same.
That's cool. That's totally insane. But they all look the same too. Like, how do you tell who's who?
And then they got to paint it on
when there's a 20-foot rooster tail of snow blocking your view. What are you supposed to do? I honestly, I don't think that I'm good enough. I did tractor pulls. We had tractor pulls at the bowl one time.
Oh, I did it once.
I mean, that is a slow show. That is a very slow show.
Yeah.
But I am not good enough to do a tractor pulls because when it's time to know your stuff, I don't know my stuff.
I don't even know what the engines are. They're all diesel.
Yeah. No, the people that do it, they're good. They're really, really good.
Yeah. That's like the cowboy, Paul Smalls, which I worked with him for.
He does everything. I give him props.
But he does a lot of the snow cross and all that, and he's very good at that. And he gets it and knows how to. It's so many years of doing it, and he's doing pretty good with it. Now he's doing the Adirondacks,
the national one too.
Snow cross.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing that at Amsoil, and I don't know if he's back or not, but now he's doing the Adirondack snow cross, and not now, next winter.
For sure.
I got a question. Have either of you guys done radio, like a legitimate radio broadcast?
No.
It's intense. It's way different than.
I have opportunity. I have an opportunity though. To
take it, do it.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Now
it'll be in the off season. The one local radio station. I've been talking to a couple guys about doing some. It's crazy. It sounds high school basketball for my school.
Do it.
So.
But don't do it. If you can, do it with somebody who has experience that you can follow.
My neighbor up the street is the head anchor up there, and he's my godfather. I got a Todd father and I got a godfather.
Well, there you go.
He's my legitimate godfather. We trade tips all the time. Oh yeah.
Like I said, you're in a business that you'll never master, and you always got to keep learning. So
yeah, I did radio for 10 years. 10 years, yeah, 10 years. And you can't take a break because they can't see what's going on. So you can't let the racing speak for itself. You have to tell them every second of the race what's happening and be right. You don't actually have to be right because they can't see it.
Right. But you got to keep telling the story.
You got to make it sound like it's real. It's tough. It's a really tough gig. I loved it though. Loved it.
Well, I used to, it's funny when you say it, I'm going to say it was maybe early 2000s. And, NASCAR was still big. The cup racing was still big at that point. Well, not that it's not now, but it was different. And I used to turn the volume down and listen to MRN. Because, man, you'd have one car, you'd be at Loudon. And you got one car going low, one car going high. They'd be on there, and here he is going on the inside row. And you're like, holy cow, what's going on? And it was a race, and
radio sounds exciting, whereas real life may not be exciting. You know what I mean? You can paint the picture in radio. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you both coming on the show tonight. My final question. No, but I try to keep it under an hour.
I'm just busting your chops, buddy.
After an hour, it's
Remember, he took a break in the middle of the show, so
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my internet had to grab the bed. My final question for you, Jay. Devil's Bowl just getting started with the 2023 season. What's some of the big events that we can expect up there at Devil's Bowl?
Oh, I tell you what, Memorial Day weekend. We got the Great Nationals coming up. That's going to be huge. And it's the Saturday, Sunday event. So tell you what, you got a week and a half less than a week and a half. And you go out, we got a full card on Saturday plus qualifying Sunday, and then 100 lapper, $5,000 to win. So gotta be there for that one.
And then this is a question I've been kind of asking. When you step away from the mic for the final time, what's that one final thing you want everybody to know?
Whew.
And remember you for. That's tough.
What I want everybody to know. I'm not even sure how to answer that.
What do you want people to remember about you?
I'm there for everybody. I'm like, I loved everybody. I was there for everybody. Never picked a favorite on the microphone, this and that. Just like always tried to make everybody look like a rock star and enjoyed everybody.
Well, Jay, I appreciate you coming on the show.
The whole race of family behind the scenes and everything. It is a family,
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show here tonight. Of course, a lot of people don't know you were like the reason I started announcing. So I got a lot of I got a lot of props off to you because you were the one that gave me a chance back in 2020 during COVID.
And you're killing it too, Brady. So you're making us all proud.
Absolutely. Now, Justin.
Yeah.
Of course, being the president of Sprint Cars of New England. What's next on the schedule for the Sprint Cars of New England?
Well, like Jay said, Memorial Day weekend, and it's a doubleheader for us too. Saturday night, we're at Bear Ridge Speedway up in Bradford, Vermont, and then Sunday I'll be with Jay at Devil's Bowl. And then
boom.
Yeah, and then actually I think we got about a month off till our next race, but we've got a 10 race schedule. Yeah, I'm sure I will. My daughter wants to go to Devil's Bowl badly, and she's mad that I've been twice and she hasn't. So,
bring her up there with me.
It's a long night with a 5-year-old, man.
Yes, it is.
I got to get there when it starts, and then I got to get her out of there way before it's over. So, which is not easy for me. And I'm not a good fan anymore. I can't just sit in the grandstands. It's tough.
Oh, I know. Isn't it funny? Once you're involved, it's like, you can't, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
And then when you step away from the microphone and racing for the final time, what is the thing you want everybody to remember about you?
I don't want them to remember me. I want them to remember the drivers. I'm serious. Like if there's no complaint about me, then I've done my job. I want them to think that I've built these drivers up to be the heroes and the officials and the sponsors and all that stuff. I mean, the announcer is the information, but should not be the show, in my opinion. The announcer should just be the newspaper. Nobody likes the newspaper. They like the news, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that they know who's important, and it's not me.
I'm making rock stars.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like Boomer Patterson getting that first win on Saturday.
Friggin' awesome. Friggin' awesome.
Boomer. Okay, but gentlemen,
Patterson, man.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to keep you guys here a little bit after. Close this out again. Justin St. Louis, president of Sprint Car of New England. And, of course, you got one other gentleman that runs the Uncommon Deeds podcast with you.
With Tom Corbett.
Tom Corbett. And then, of course, Jay Severson, the voice of the Devil's Bowl Speedway currently. And one of my best pals. Got me started. Both of y'all helped me out big time with my career, and I can't thank both of you enough for that.
Yeah, we're having fun watching you, man.
Absolutely.
But everybody that is tuned in, this has been another Announcers Table podcast, of course, sponsored by Swagger Factory Apparel and Parks Companies LLC. I'm not sure when the next Announcers podcast will go out. It's kind of hard to schedule all these announcers.
Well, you start working on it tonight.
1 week from tonight, Brady Hauser will have episode 3 of the Announcers podcast here on Out of the Fast Lane.
I hope
8 o'clock Thursday. Be here.
I hope so. It's tough because everybody's got schedules.
I get it.
We'll see what we can get, but we'll try to shoot for trying to have an episode next week. But
there you go.
We'll see how I'm feeling after prom Saturday because. If people remember, last prom last year, I went to prom on that Saturday. That Sunday, which will be this upcoming Sunday.
You went in the hospital.
I was in the ER with a collapsed lung. So let's take it to prom here, folks.
Man, prom was awesome then, huh? Jesus, what were you doing at prom?
My words to not say that, but and
wow.
Prom. I guess I had the high school prom experience. And then some.
There you go.
Again, I appreciate everybody that's watching.
That's when you wish you had a hangover.
Again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You won't miss any uploads here. Jim Irvine, thanks for that remark. He said, great show, great dialogue, and information from the three of you. So appreciate you there.
Absolutely.
But this has been another Announcers Table podcast. Again, my name is Brady Hauser, Justin St. Louis, Jay Severson. We'll see you all in the next one. Have a good evening, and remember, support those who support racing. Otherwise, well, I mean, you got to support those that support racing.
Yeah, otherwise sit on your couch.
But good night, everybody.